Welcome to the SnipeSearch AdClicks Publisher Program. This course is designed to help you make the most out of being a publisher on SnipeSearch AdClicks. Most programs out there, most publisher programs, don't tend to give you a decent introduction as to how you can make the most out of their program. A lot of the time it's guesswork or reading their Q&As and just trying to find out how to maximize the money. SnipeSearch differentiates itself from a lot of them because we try to give you more information from the get-go. We try not to be vague when we tell you what you've done wrong. Because let's be fair, anyone who's beginning is going to make mistakes. So banning you because you didn't understand is not the way to go. This course is supposed to be intensive and detailed. This here that we're doing right now is simply the introduction that explains how we're different from other networks. So SnipeSearch AdClicks has more advertising avenues than pretty much anyone else. From the old school pop-ups, banner ads, etc. We've got contextual ads, vast video ads, XML feeds if you want to customize things. We've created custom WordPress plugins so you can style exactly how you want the ads to show on your website to make them integrate in a way that feels natural to your users rather than being distractions. If somebody submits an ad that looks like clickbait, we're likely to simply reject it. But when we do our rejections, you'll get an email, and the email will say very specific things. This doesn't matter to you too much. It just means that you can trust that when you install one of our ads on your website, you know it's going to be suitable. We match our ads based on keywords that you set for either the page or the site itself. They're not random. They're not done based on what we think is going to get the most pointless clicks. Because it's very important that the ad clicks on your website actually make the webmaster on the other end some money too. Because if he doesn't profit, then he won't book again. Slowly but surely, this will depreciate the value of ads on your website. We know a lot of other publishers literally go for the money now aspect, but we go for the long-term gains for everybody. And I assure you, for your website, this will work better than that. You'll see a lot of news websites that you go to, as you scroll down, most of them become 80% advertisements. Every 2 paragraphs, ad on the side, sometimes a pop-up. And the reason for this is because people have become less trusting of clicking ads. They're clicking them less. And these webmasters are responding to that by creating more ad slots, hoping to make up for the lost money. What's occurring here is an almost unenjoyable version of the internet. With SnipeSearch AdClicks, we intend to aim at the customer something they're interested in reading. So there's a high probability they'll click because they're already reading something about a related topic, but a low probability that they won't convert on the other end. This is one of our primary goals, to create an honest converting thing. As a publisher, you may not only be looking to earn money from your website, you might be looking to drive more people to it. And with our program, you can take the money you've earned from publisher clicks, recycle them into the advertiser account, and get adverts for yourself placed online with no cost. This makes it a very low barrier of entry for anyone who wants to advertise. We don't care how small your audience is. You can have 10 visitors a month. It does not matter. Because at the start, people have very few. And judging you on a metric that doesn't exist yet is not acceptable. Trying to make you survive a year as a business until there's enough data is not particularly useful for anybody. Websites disappear because they couldn't honestly monetize. We are here to bridge that gap. And this course will help you understand how to install adverts, how to place them, style them, and even get clicks on them without misleading your users, to ensure that at the base level, you manage to very quickly cover the cost of running the website. And in the long-term level, get people booking your CPD ads, which is the cost per day down the side of your website. You can sell that whole slot to one person each day and have enough to be able to earn yourself personally some decent money. This obviously is not how we aim at larger clients. This is how the startups work. If you're embedding videos, you can use our vast and HTML video system to create pre-rolls or post-roll ads. We always recommend we keep that at minimum, 1 per video, simple as that. We will go into detail in the embedding sections as to how to operate this. Banner ads, we do a wide spectrum, and we even have a fairly unique image text ad system that looks quite snazzy on desktop sites. But ad placements, again, will go into how important it is that you get them right. But they do have a good click-through rate if correctly installed. Most websites these days will be using a system that tracks. You'll look at something on Google and then you will see an ad on Facebook for that very item because something left a signal that this was what was happening. We don't support this kind of advertising. Ultimately, we work on the premise that if somebody is on your website and your website is a blog that reviews bicycles, the most likely thing that someone is going to honestly want to click on your website is somewhere to buy bicycle stuff. It is other bicycle related items. That's where their mind is now. The whole following around the internet thing is actually called retargeting. And it's huge in modern search engine marketing. And everybody will teach you how to retarget, how to remarket, how to get that user in the long term. And many of them will actually advise you that you can burn money at the first stage, but the user 2 or 3 clicks later will come back. This is absolutely true. But you've spent £40 acquiring a user. So unless your return of interest is massive, that's not a good way of running things. And it also means that you, as a website owner, if you are the victim of showing ads that are nothing more than retargeting and that person's mind isn't there when they're on your website, you will earn nothing from that ad. So to us, it is about in the moment. It also means that we don't drop cookies all over your website, so you've got less GDPR compliance issues. There's also the CCPA, which is the California Privacy Act, having low tracking advertising is compliance with that as well. Users typically don't want to be seeing their system filled with cookies these days. So it's a matter of preference that if you are not using an ad that retargets them, they're more likely to enjoy your website. There is a huge technical advantage to not having to bounce back and forth to look at a user's cookie before it goes and fetches the ad. If the page has been loaded before, our server already knows what ads work on that page, and we will deliver relevant ads to that page. That means your website will load in a fraction of the time using our ads compared to many of the competitors. Because we don't drop cookies, and because we don't use subsection ad servers, in fact, most of our ads make it through ad blockers. So, yeah. See, ad blockers typically work on the premise of they prevent intrusive advertisement. Things from servers that are known to be problematic, things dropping cookies, things that mislead you in another direction. But there's a whitelist system that exists in, say, AdBlocker Plus, etc., and even Brave, that if an ad is completely compliant with non-tracking policies, the ad will be displayed regardless of the ad blocker. And this is true with most of the settings of the SnipeSearch ads. In fact, I was debugging a problem on SnipeSearch video where an ad wasn't showing from ads, but it's because that they had been showing so many of those gambling ads that they ended up on the blacklist. And I thought there was a problem in the code because the SnipeSearch AdClicks ads were loading just fine. So it didn't occur to me it was the ad blocker. There's an ethical advantage. People love going to a website where they know they're not being tracked. We don't track you as a list is a fantastic way to get somebody to keep coming back. And as they keep coming back and seeing that they're still not seeing retargeted ads, that is going to be reinforced and will again generate you more long-term revenue.
When for a small blog like myself, you wouldn't need the cookie banner. So people would just get to go into the website without needing to read or...
Exactly. Now, it's very important that when you drop in your AdClicks ads, that you go to one of the cookie scanner websites and make sure that you haven't imported a particular type of ad that might need something like a IP-based cookie. This is not a tracking cookie, but sometimes things drop cookies that are not to do with things. And sometimes you have things that are more to do with the tracking pixel than the cookie. So I would say is always scan. I've never had our things flag on a scan. I'm just saying, check.
I don't understand what he just said. So if you're like me and you just have a blog and you want to figure out how to monetize this blog.
There's no good reason why we would drop a cookies. There's very rarely a reason we would even use a image pixel to track an ad, but it is always worth checking, especially because you may be using other plugins on your website that are not SnipeSearch AdClicks. Scan your website for cookies using a third-party plugin to make absolutely sure that nothing is dropping a cookie before skipping the cookie banner, because it may not be ads that are dropping your cookies. It can be anything. Social media sharing plugins, XML feeds, Twitter add-ons, Websites can easily have other things creating those cookies.
Sneaking cookies in there.
Yeah.
Everywhere they go. All right.
So we don't advise just skipping it. The ads are better relevance, more likely to click because, like I say, it's what somebody's thinking about right now. In the long run, the things that SnipeSearch AdClicks has been doing pretty much since the beginning will eventually be laws. Many of the things that used to set us apart from other networks have become things other networks are being forced to do. Reduce their tracking, notify, make sure that nothing loads before the user is accepted. Keep less data on the user. These are things that used to be our motto, but now thanks to California and European law, they are the standard. The difference between us and the big guys, we're trying to keep this entire section that me and Jesse filmed today below 30 minutes. But the main things are lower barriers of entries, better relevance, lower levels of rejections, no vague emails about why we didn't like something you did. We're opaque. The minimum payout is lower. What are you laughing at?
I'm picturing a conversation. I'm remembering a conversation I had the other day where after a while, like after listening for 5 minutes, I realized nothing was said. And when you mentioned the email, writing, your ad was rejected because your ad was rejected and your ad was rejected. It's like a whole lot of words that say nothing.
Yeah, it's a huge issue with vague advertising responses. I'm going to go back to the top here because I'm not sure whether or not I can work with the break. We have the issue of potential brand recognition where we are less recognized, but ask yourself a serious question. When you have clicked through on an advert, when you've clicked through on a post on Facebook and there's a bunch of ads in the feed, have you once stopped on those clickbait ads and go, who's running the ad though? Oh, it's Google. This is fine. I'll click it. You do not care. The ad is clicked if it is relevant. It doesn't matter what network it came from.
It has seldom been relevant.
I can't imagine a single time when somebody has cared who the ad network were.
No.
No, I cannot.
I don't even know that I would know.
Exactly.
It's an ad.
Yeah.
It looks like an ad.
If it looks like an ad, people tend to scan past it so quickly, they don't see who the ad was by.
They don't even know what the ad was about.
Which is part of why we make sure that we have integration systems that allow you to put it in your website in a way that is consistent with the page, but it still says ads by SnipeSearch. It still tells them it's an ad, but it doesn't scream it's an ad. And a lot of people like the idea of the ad screaming because they think, well, if it gets attention, people will know it's an ad and they'll click it and I'll earn money. But the reality is, if people know it's an ad, they scroll past it a lot quicker. People on Facebook will often click on a link and then go, wow, that was more ads than anything else. They won't even read the page. They'll open it, scroll down, close it. They don't care what the network is. AdSense has fairly sophisticated analytics integration because it monitors. So it can do that. We work more on how popular a page was or how popular a keyword was. If you want to find more detailed analysis, then you are going to have to use either on-site or third-party tracking. I would recommend that you would put first-party on-site tracking in. So something like a WordPress plugin that keeps logs of people's activity on the website without dropping a cookie, because it can follow somebody's path through a website using their IP address. If you install a third-party tracker, then you're likely going to be introducing cookies that you don't want to introduce. So if you need the detailed analysis, make sure you use things like the hints at the end of a URL, signals that tell people what went where. But ultimately, you don't really need to worry about the analytics of the clicks out on your website. If it is making money and you are seeing a ratio of traffic that at least 2% of them are clicking on an ad of some sort, then you're actually doing amazingly. So I wouldn't stress yourself about the idea of deep analytics of advertisements you display. I would worry about analytics of how people enjoyed your website, how long they stayed on various pages, because you actually want somebody to read the full article before they click the ad, because that's the reason they'll come back. People remember the website that helped them, not the ad they found on the website that helped them. So it's very important you just make good content, and then everything else sort of just follows. Despite everyone saying analysis, 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 you're a publisher. You don't need to analyze the ads. most of the big publishers have incredibly strict approval processes. Ours isn't overly lax, but it's not absurdly strict. Google and Bing are quite aggressive if you do anything that doesn't adhere to their particular standard. Our particular standard comes down to a few simple things that I can cover in less than a minute. Make sure that what you're advertising is legal where you're advertising it. Make sure it's legal for you to be the one advertising it. Make sure it's legal in the destination the ad is arriving to, and make sure you can legally ship there. You see,
So make sure it's legal.
so the law, yes, but origin, destination, shipping, because they are separate sets of laws. And make sure you adhere to all of them. And if you offer a particular service that requires a license, make sure you have it in case we ask. That's pretty much it. We will get annoyed if you put 20 ads on a page. In actual fact, there are various bits of code involved to stop the ads loading if you turn your site into a banner farm. Because as you know, click farms are the biggest way that bots steal money from the major players and the major advertisers.
So if there's more than X number of ads on a page,
Yeah,
it just
they won't
shuts
show
down
them.
all of them.
Yep. You know that when you spend the money on an ad on SnipeSearch AdClicks, a person sees it, which shouldn't really be exceptional, but apparently is.
The number means something?
Yeah, apparently when people pay for an ad, they want someone to see it. It's an odd premise apparently, but this is how we work. If you put the code in a page that doesn't look particularly good, we are going to question it. We might advise you on how to correct it. If it looks like you're legitimately trying to farm, then we are going to pull your ads and we'll potentially suspend you whilst you fix it. Now, various advertisers and publishers in the past have ripped off Google by doing things like setting up a website, then creating a subdomain, and then on the subdomain setting up pages that have got ads in that bots can move through. This, I'm afraid, will not work with SnipeSearch AdClicks because we authorize every domain and subdomain independently. So if you attempt to create a secret banner farm, the ads actually will load. They just won't take any money from any of the publishers. They also most likely won't show any real ads. They'll show dummy ads. And you will have spent money on a bot that clicks through to nothing. And as we track that, you will eventually get banned. I, for the life of me, do not know why other networks don't simply do this. And I'm sure after watching my course, my level of competition is going to go up. But that's fine. Most of these sites have high traffic and high content thresholds. This personally, when I was building websites, I found as a huge irritation. The reason being that when I'm building a new website, my traffic is very, very low. And when I'm trying to integrate an advert, it is so that I can demonstrate how the page looks in my test environment. So I can see exactly how it's going to load, what people are going to see, and whether or not I like the vibe. If I need to already have 10,000 hits to check whether or not an ad's going to look right, I really can't check. And from a developer's position, that used to truly annoy me. You'll notice as you read through a lot of our material, watch a lot of material, the development of what we've done here has been entirely on what has annoyed me personally.
What do you mean 10,000 clicks to see how it looks?
Well, with Google and Bing, they have content thresholds. You need to have a certain number of visitors or a certain amount of content before you can get approved for the partner program. Rather than allowing you to join the partner program and then monitoring you and gathering data about whether or not your clicks are legitimate, which, you know, Google love data, they literally say you need to have X thousand number of hits or this number of pages before you can install our ads. It is a barrier to entry for new websites. With many of these sites, they have account suspensions that come with vague reasons. I've written a book on Bing, which isn't here right now. Bing love to auto-approve ads and then at some point, a month or two later, ban the entire thing after a top-up. Not because anything changed, because once I've got an ad approved on Bing, I will just leave it. But eventually, for some reason, they'll say, I don't like that. And they don't do it to everyone. I've worked with a lot of clients who work in the financial sector, and I imagine that is part of the reason. It's financial industry. But the emails I get is, your account's been suspended, please file an appeal, which is absolute nonsense, because why is my account being suspended? I still don't know. There's a lot of payment delays with the competition. I've seen some. In actual fact, I withdrew something from a partner recently, and the notice they gave me was payment will be delivered within 6 months. I've never seen anything of the sort. That is the most I've ever seen, 6 months. That is sheer insanity. I shan't name them. Typically, you won't see more than 60 days, but 6 months. Because a lot of them have quite high payout thresholds as well, even with 10,000 visitors a month, you actually don't really see enough income to draw out for some people for years. My first ever Google ad campaign website that got approved, we placed the ad on and it was 28 months before we crossed the payout threshold. That is, and that's partially because of the effect of remarketing. They're remarketing to people with things that are not relevant to my website, and those people have likely purchased the item already elsewhere.
Do you choose what type of, I don't know if this is early, but do you choose the type of ad you want to display?
When you generate your ad, you can generate the payment type of ads you want to display. I tend to click the combination CPC CPM, so it will fill the slot with any ad that matches my keywords, regardless of the payment type, to make sure that I've always got ads. So I think ultimately that is everything that needs to be covered in this introduction to SnipeSearch AdClicks for publishers. And I will be back with Jesse to do the next one.